Hello! It is Rebecca, and I recently started releasing weekly content schedules, so in this video, I'm bringing you my October bullet journal setup. I thought my concert season for this year was over, but the chance came, so I'm going to be going to one last concert this year. In the month of October, I will be going to the Heal Together tour for The Rose, so I chose their song Beauty and the Beast as the theme for this month. For the cover page, I wanted a very simple doodle of a rose in a glass case like in the Beauty and the Beast story. I started off drawing a green curved line with a few lines branching off as the stem of the rose. Then I added a few leaves to the ends of the stems. Next, I wanted to draw a petal for the rose that had fallen off the flower, but I accidentally started coloring in green. It was an easy fix to take a red marker to cover it up, and it honestly just looks like a shadow for the petal. As the base of the rose case, I used a gold marker to color an oval, and then as the rose itself, I took a dark red to color the shape of the rose. To define all of the shapes, I then took a fine liner to outline the case of the rose as well as the rose petals and leaves. Under the rose, I wanted to do a font that you might see in a children's book, so I went with a serif font and made the first letter in a box. For the letter O, I started with a red border and added gold to all corners of the box, while the rest of the letters I just did a serif font and tried to make the vertical lines thicker. Amanda H. Lee did a storybook fairy tale theme last year that was very helpful to use as a reference. This is also the first time in a while that I've used a brown fine liner for the titles. I like that the color goes really well with the colors for the rose. To add to the storybook font, I used a green marker to add some details like vines within the red box. Finally, I just added a gold border around the page by drawing flourishes in the corner and connecting them. For the corner flourish, I started with a diagonal leaf shape and connected a teardrop to one point. Then I branched off of the original design and extended the lines with swirls. The flourish on the top middle of the page started like a diamond, but on one end I swirled the lines outwards. I think that this border is very elegant and gives off a fairy tale vibe, so I really like it. It was also really simple once I broke it down into different steps. Adding sparkles and dots around the title was the finishing touch for this cover page. Of all the pages that I made in the spread, honestly, the song lyric page is probably my least favorite. I did enjoy how simple it was to do, but it just felt too plain to me. Anyway, I started the song lyric page by using a brown brush pen to letter the song lyrics. They are translated from Korean and read, "The withering flower is blooming again. I think the spell will be broken." Out of all of the lyrics in the song, I felt like these were the most hopeful because, like the story Beauty and the Beast goes, the song talks about a love story that seems impossible between two people but works out in the end. I really like the imagery of hope and healing by describing the withering flower coming back to life and blooming again. That hope is something that I just wanted to embrace and include in my theme for October. While the main focus of the page is the lyrics, I wanted to add a bit of decoration, so I added some red and pink petals under the lyrics. The petals looked a bit like hearts, but I think it still looks okay. Then I drew a similar border to the cover page, but I flipped it so that the flourish from the top center on the cover page is now on the bottom center of the song lyric page. I also added the gold sparkles around the petals and lyrics as well as connected the petals with a green marker. I've been loving simple monthly layouts, so I will be doing that again this month, starting with the same title font from the cover page in the top left corner along with the sparkles around it. For the calendar itself, I took a red mild liner to highlight the top of the calendar where the days of the week will be, and I took a light pink marker to color the square where I wrote the date in each of the boxes. I used my usual black Uniball Signo pen to fill in the calendar, but I used the brown fine liner to draw the outlines on the calendar. I've been going to concerts every month since May, and in the last couple of months, I started adding a section next to my monthly calendar where I can write down memories or plan for the concert. For October, I also added the section starting with a gold border using the same flourishes from the cover. While the gold pen was drying, I took different shades of pink and red to draw these abstract roses in the empty space. I just started with small curves and kept going around in a circle, adding curves to be the petals of the rose. The key for these curves was to make the curves thin out towards the ends like a crescent moon. I don't think I've ever mentioned the Rose on my channel before, but they are a group that I found with my roommates about a year ago now, and we really loved their performances and all of their music. We saw that they hadn't released any music in a while, so we were all very excited when they released Beauty and the Beast. I love the amount of emotion that the Rose pours into their vocals, which is why I'm really excited for them to release their new album next month. The concert will also be the first time that I see the Rose live, so I can't wait to vlog and share that experience with you all. In order to finish this spread, I wrote Boston at the top and then the Rose Heal Together tour underneath that in the concert section. The page also felt a little too empty, so I took 2 shades of green markers to add leaves around the flowers in the same style of the roses. For this, I just did curved letter V's around the roses. When I first started drawing the roses, I was nervous about how they would turn out, but looking at them now, I'm actually really happy with the style of them. And last, but very not least, I just wanted to do a quick weekly setup to finish up this video. For this weekly spread, I am going back to doing a spread for just 1 week. It's honestly been so long that I can't remember when I last did a spread for a single week. I want to get into a life catch-up, but to give a brief explanation of this spread, I started with the storybook font title from the previous spreads in the center of the page and made the gold border around it. I sectioned off each of the boxes for days of the week using a brown fine liner and a ruler. Next, I highlighted the top of each box where I'll write the day of the week and the date later, and started filling the middle box around the title with abstract roses and leaves in the same fashion as the monthly spread. Recently, I have been trying to release a content schedule on my other socials at the beginning of each week to hold myself more accountable for making content here as well as streams over on Twitch. I actually just hit my follower goal for the year on Twitch, which is insane to me still. At the beginning of 2022, I threw out a number that I was reaching for, but I never expected to actually reach it. Thank you so incredibly much for everyone here who is supporting me on Twitch as well. I will probably go back to my 2-week weeklies for the rest of the month, but if you are interested in watching those setups, you can work on them with me live over on Twitch. Other than that, I will of course be going to the Rose concert this upcoming month and also hopefully editing more vlogs very soon. Finally, I didn't get the full clip, but to finish up the weekly spread, I just wrote out the days of the week and the dates in all of the boxes. It was a very easy weekly to make, but I love how it turned out. Overall, this month became more of a Rose theme rather than a theme based on the song Beauty and the Beast, but I think I can safely say that it still represents the Korean group The Rose very well. I really liked how simple this theme was, and I'm excited to see The Rose in concert. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!